Okay. Okay, so we're going to learn a little bit weiter Be'ez Hashem, just to go a little bit more into Abulafia. So last week we started that explains towards the end of the Sefer of Oitzer Agonos. He talks about a certain type of practice, and again, we're going to try to deconstruct or construct a system here, because we'll see that he talks about different things, and we have to put them together. That he talks about a person taking a pen in his hands, and when a person takes a pen and a paper, he starts writing, and he's writing tzirufim. So it's not clear if this is what's the kavanah of writing. And we said that the idea of writing is when you're writing in a way that's associative, which means that you're not writing ba'ofen sichli according to intelligence. You're not writing a stream of your thoughts that's seichelic, that's following a certain logic, but you're just trying to empty all your machshavas, whatever's happening on a machshava level, to empty it out onto a piece of paper. What's the intention? What's the kavanah? So the kavanah is that because a person has rabas machshavas b'levish, a person has many different thoughts, and is machshava tamid, a person has thoughts that are continuous and rapid, and there's no logic to it. A lot of times one thing leads to the next. Like you said, you walk out of the street and it's raining, so you see an umbrella, then you think about your job, and then you think v'chulu, v'chulu, v'chulu. And this is not a guy that can happen walking the street. To a lighter, it can also happen in Shmoneser. One thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. So in order to get a klarkeit, in order to get your mind in a clear state, so he says you should empty out all your machshavas into a piece of paper. So the intention is to empty your mind, to quiet the mind. It's like a type of ashkata, through writing what's on your mind. This is one thing. But it also seems to say that it's connected to a type of tzirufim, which means that you're already in a state that you're in a nevui state, or in a prophetic state that he calls it. If you look through in Oitzer Agonos, it's merumas, and it's also hinted to in the other svarim, in his other svarim, in Oyer Seichel and Chaylam Haba in particular, it seems that there's actually 3 types of tzirufim that a person can do. There's 3 tzirufim. Tzirufim, we didn't yet talk really at length what the idea of the tziruf is and how it works, but it seems to be that he's saying that there are 3 types of tzirufim that a person can do. A person can do tziruf in ksiva, through writing. A person can do tziruf through dibur, through speech, and a person can do tziruf in machshava. Most of what we know from Abulafia, from the things that he taught, and from the few svarim that he actually describes what his practice is tziruf in the middle stage. It's tziruf through dibur, which means that you're creating tzirufim. You take different shemas. You can take the shem of the 72 letter name, Shem Av, not Shem Av, but the 72 names. You can take Shem Hashem with the Aleph, and what you're doing is, we're not going to talk about this now, but you're taking the tzirufim of Yud Kei Vav Kei with the Aleph Yud Kei Vav Kei, you mitzaref them in different directions, and you're also using the 5 primary Petukei Chosim, which is the 5 primary sounds and the Kudus, and you're changing them with the Aleph Yud Kei Vav Kei. And you're doing this while you're doing these sirufim. You're also breathing. There's certain techniques of breathing. How much you breathe a breath in, a breath out. You retain. You breathe in, you breath out, retain. This is the process of these 3 stages. And while also you're doing this, you're also moving your head in direction of where the Nukuda is. So let's say Cholam, generally, the Nukuda is on top. So when you say Cholam or Oi, you're moving your head up. And we'll have to talk about what exactly is the kavanah of this, but this is the Iker Torasai of Abulafia in terms of the practice is connected to Olam HaDibur. But then he also talks about it ba'ofen of machshava, which means you're doing tzirufim in your mind. You're not doing tzirufim not in Maisa, and he doesn't use these words. I'm just making this more clear. There's tzirufim in Maisa, you're doing ksiva, you're writing, and you're mitzvah of ois to ois, ois to ois, ois to ois, and you're unifying these letters, you miyachad these letters to tzirufim to oisius, through ksiva. There's tzirufim ba'yedei dibur, which you're actually chanting them, you're saying them, and it's very structured, it's very organized. This is exactly what you should say, exactly this now and this later. And then the tzirufim, when it goes into the olam ha'machshava. In Chai Elam Haba, this is going to read you a little piece over here. It depends which print. In this print, it's 63. There's no real dafim, but let's say this is 63. In a noide b'kabal den vuis alikis teranis. Shebeshasha achochem amaskem mitzarfim tishba alav ruach hakodesh. When a person, a chochem, is going to mitzarf these sirufim, these combinations, there's going to be a shefa ruach hakodesh. A person should misgalgal the oisiest ponev va'acher backwards and forward, which would be negunim rabin, which is in the many different nekudas, many different vowels. You should do this quickly. You start slowly, and then you should do it more quickly, and then you should start creating these sirufim through these different negunim. A person has to know what he's going to see in the tziruf. What's the tziruf going to reveal to him? Like we did last week a little bit, to feel what is actually the message. What's being revealed to you? And a person's heart will be aroused when they're choishev, they have this machshava, this thought, in the koyach hatzir of these tzirufim. Which means that the intention is to create a certain type of isoirus, an arousal in the heart, a heart space. Something has to open up, and the opening up has to do with the tzirufim that you're creating b'choishvoi when you're saying it. So, which means that b'choishvoi when you're thinking of it, you're choishev this thought when you have machshava of this tziruf, which means something be'erech like this. Try to explain a little bit the oasis of the Baal Shem, but we'll try to understand it according to the way the Abulafia understood this. If some of you know, the Iker, one of the main things that Abulafia, when he was younger, he was oisik in, was in the Rambam's Moreh Nevuchim. He considered himself a Talmud. We quoted last week also from Oitz Aragonos that he learned Moreh Nevuchim. This was the Iker Sefer, and he writes that till he was 46 basically, so it's only a short time, until it was later years, that was later years because he passed away a few years later, maybe 52, until his later years, he was oisik, mainly his main teaching was from the Moreh Nevuchim. Now if you look at the Moreh Nevuchim, if you ever look at the Moreh Nevuchim, I don't know if Chassid Shalom looks at the Moreh Nevuchim, doesn't look at the Moreh Nevuchim, but in case you did look by mistake, or you didn't look, or you're supposed to look, the Moreh Nevuchim seems to be completely inconsistent with the system of Avraham Abulafia, because Avraham Abulafia, very simply, is clearly a Talmud from which we talked about a few years ago, but we have to go through the Chazar Sashir. Avraham Abulafia is clearly a Talmud from Sefer Yetzirah, and he writes it clearly, and Befrat from the Chassidic Ashkenaz, from Lezer Gemaiza and Yehuda Chosef, and that Chaburah of tzaddikim that lived in Germany at that period of time. Their Iker Oisek was in not in Sefer HaZohar, because there was no Zohar then, they didn't have the Zohar. It was Iker and Sefer Yitzir. In Sefer Yitzir itself, it was Oisius. They were Oisik and Oisius in letters, permutations and different serufim and tumuras of Oisius, to how to create the different letters, the Reish Lamed Aleph, Shiurim, Acher V'Ponim. This is the whole Sefer Yitzir about using different types of serufei Oisius. In the Torah of the Rambam, you don't find any of this. There's nowhere in the Rambam talks about this thing in Moreh Nevuchim. But the answer to this question is the way Avraham Abulafia understood the Rambam was like this. Bizman HaRishonim, it's very hard to describe this, but if you want to give Ki'ilu a description of the Koyach Eliki, what is the Koyach Eliki? What's the Chayas Eliki in this world? What is it? What would you say? What if you have to use a word to describe this? How would you describe Chayas Eliki? Yeah. I'm talking about what? No, it's all good words, but what is it? So like this. Bizman HaRishonim, all the Rishonim understood like this. In the spheres, we have the highest level of spheres Chachma. Now, if you look in Kisari, in all the Torah Sari, in the Torah Sari, all the Chudim is to create Hamshachas HaMoichin Al Midas. There's some type of Moichin that you have to bring to Midas. There's something that the Midah is in Katnas. And how does the Midah get Gadlus? How does anything have Gadlus? Through Moichin. So in Torah Sari, he uses the language, it's Moichin. And Chachma. So this comes really from the Rishonim, because the Rishonim speak about something that's called, there's many different types of sichlim, but the basic difference, there's two types of sichlim. One is called seichel hapoel, and one is called seichel hanikna. Seichel hanikna. Seichel hapoel and seichel hanikna. What's seichel hapoel? What's seichel hanikna? If you look at the beginning of the Rambam, when he says that Amitas Nimatzim is called Mitzrayim, and is called Mitzrayim, and that the who amada who edev who yedua, that the Metzias Haboira is who amada who edev who yedua. What's Metzias about? What's the definition kaviyachol of the boira? It's not mamish the boira. We'll see soon. What's this definition? This is the knower and the known, and what's being known is one and the same. By us, we have something that's called seichel hanikla. Seichel hanikla means that we don't know something, and then someone tells you 1 + 1 is 2, so you know 2 now. Now you can say 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah, so it's nikna. You're acquiring this wisdom. You understand shtikul gemara, then you can understand the Rashi, you can understand the Tosis, and you can understand the Reb Chaim. It's nikna, one thing on top of the next, on top of the next. Then there's something that's called seichel hapoel. Seichel hapoel is translated, it's called active intelligence. What's active intelligence? It's just another translation. Active intelligence means that there is the koyach eliki is the source of all intelligence that's going to come into creation. What's everything? What's the pasuk says Bereshis bar lekim? What does the Targum write? The Targum Yerusim Nazil b'chuchmusa. That the creation, the bria is Reishis, comes to chachma, right? That the bria, the Torah of Nachman in the beginning of the Maran, that the bria has chachma. What's chachma? That everything in this world has an intentionality. There's a leaf, there's a tree, there's a table. Everything has a chachma leki that is intentionally creating it. That intentionality, that consciousness or information, whatever you want to call that word, the koyach that gives all that koyach is the koyach leki. The koyach halaki is not an active intelligence, which is not proteus, it's not detailed, but it's a koyach hakloli of all possible types of intelligence. The Mukabbalim obviously argue with the Rambam, and they say, and if you look at this Agdon in the beginning of Tanya, when he brings on for the Maral, and the Agdon of Gurus Hashem, that the Maral writes, that's emes mitzad chachmasi is barach. Shehu chachmasi echad, that mitzvah madregas chachma, it's emes, and the highest level of sphere chachma is emes. But there's something that's called a moyer, there's keser, there's atzmos, there's higher madregas in the boyer, which is higher than chachma. But everyone agrees, all the Rishonim and the Mukabbalim, both the philosophers and the Mukabbalim agree that there's a madregas chachma, which the world is created, basar b'moris nivra olam, which is that the world is created through the Asar Amoris, which correspond to the esospheres, and the Nukud of every single thing in creation is another form of intelligence. Which incidentally, if you know a little bit science, but I'm sure none of you really know, but if you do know, in case you meet someone, the Dad Mashatashuv, you should know that that's what science says today. That everything has information. Every DNA actually has encoded information. That's everything's information. The whole world is this information. Which this is what our Messiah tells us. Pshat is that the Koyach HaPoel is the active intelligence that gives rise to all Seichel HaNikla, which is all the pratistic, detailed types of intelligence in creation. This is the Shittas HaRambam. B'chlal. So now comes the Rambam and says, what's Nevuah? What happens when a person's a Navi? When a person's a Navi is that the Seichel HaNikna becomes Misyached with the Seichel HaPoel. And when the pratistic intellect of an individual person becomes hooked into the super intelligence, if you wish, the divine intelligence, the collective consciousness, the super intelligence becomes one with this koyach hapoel, then everything becomes revealed. Because in the koyach hapoel is the koyach that has all the seichel haniknas. So you actually know both the beginning of time, the end of time, and everything has to be known. Everything in the world becomes known to you. When you can be davuk and have dveikus into the seichel hapoel, then you can have nevuah. That's koyach hanavui. That's what nevuah is according to Rambam. Huh?
It's impossible for a nivro because then
that's correct. So it's from one moment. So it's not obviously iludat v'yisi because then it's not.
What I'm trying to say is it's not the idea that the nivro knows everything.
I'm saying why does a navi?
He knows is bottled in the klal of the.
Yeah. So why does a navi know? It's a poil yoitze. It's a psik reisha that happens when a person has dveikus. A navi, a navi is lashon nifsosayim. A navi is to tell the Ratzon Hashem in this world, to mechiach klal yisrael. That's what a navi has to do in this world. What does it have to do with a navi knowing what's going to happen in the future? Seems to be two separate things. What's the negate that the navi has to know what happens in the future? Because once you're davuk into the seichel hapoel, you have a glimpse. Of course, you don't have everything because then you're active yisib, but you have a glimpse of things that are beyond the normal consciousness. You're getting a glimpse. This is what a dream be'etzem is. That a dream could be a shishim in nevuah, nevilus nevuah, because a person can have a shemetz when they leave their consciousness, they can actually connect to the seichel hapoel. This is what the Rambam writes. Okay, comes along Rav Abulafia, and now is going to tie this idea with the other system of the Rishonim, which is Sefer Yitzir. Comes along Abulafia and says like this: because in Sefer Yitzir we learn that the entire world is created through Oisius. Right? That's the Sefer Yitzir, right? That the Chaf Beis Oisius is together with the 10 spheres, is Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis is Chachma. That's what the world was created through the Tziruf Oisius. Everything is created through Oisius. And there's the Imois, and there's the Kfulis, and there's Pshutas. There's different types of letters, and the combination of these type of letters create everything. If you want to look in Shayich V'Mun and Perik Beis, that's the Alter Rebbe writes clearly this same idea, this system. So the Meir comes to Abulafia and says very simply, if according to the Rambam, a person is Seichel HaNikna, his acquired intelligence, becomes Misyached with Seichel HaPoel. That's why a person receives Nevuah. So he says, okay, so how is a person going to Misyached? He's going to use the Oisius, which is the medium of creation. He's going to take those letters, create those sirufim, and then get into a space that he's going to be dovuk in the Seichel HaPoel. And when he's going to be dovuk in the Seichel HaPoel, it's through Oisius. Because how does the Seichel HaPoel mean as Gala? This is the Rambam doesn't write. Through Oisius. So that's the medium. So you're going to use Oisius.
The Rambam says that you have to learn Chachma.
Yeah, Chachma, Seichel. Yeah, not Oisius. So the Abulafia is saying a different thing. Yeah, correct, but through a different system. So Abulafia is taking the nekuda of what the Rambam writes, and he's marrying it to the idea of what the other Rishonim writes. That since the world is created through Oisius, so what's the Makir Kol Oisius? What's the Seichel HaPoel? If you asked Rav Abulafia, what is the Seichel HaPoel? He would say Seichel HaPoel is the tzirufim of all the possibilities of all the Oisius, and then they come and they filter down into different tzirufim, and then you have Shin Lamed Ches Nun becomes Shulchan, and Aleph Beis becomes Av, and Aleph becomes the Ima, and that's the tzirufim of all these Oisius actually becoming from the Seichel HaPoel, which has all the Oisius, all the tzirufim, and then they're mitzaref in a particular way, and it means because the source of all creation is from that Seichel HaPoel, which has all the Oisius. Okay, so this is the system. The system comes along and says, we're going to use sirufim. And when we're going to use sirufim, we're going to transcend our, what we'll call our normative consciousness, our regular way of thinking. We're going to empty ourselves from our regular way of thinking, which is the machshavas asus and the machshavas of just Rabbis machshavas, that just scatter thoughts that we have. We're going to quiet our mind. We're going to chant, recite new tzirufim of we're gonna, I don't want to say Mevakshei Hashem, but we're going to try to chant the name of Hashem, if it's Yudke Vavke or other Shemus, and through that we're going to mitzvah for them in all different combinations. What is that the combination is going to do? It's going to connect us to the Seichel HaPoel. Once we're in the Seichel HaPoel, then we're going to channel new Seichel, new revelations, and that's going to be Nevuah. What's going to? That's correct. That's right. No. It's just to get into that place. How does it ish pashat? You're Yankee. You have a particular. You have a tziruf that says, I am this person, this body. These are my parents. This is the way I think. This is the way I feel. This is your particular tziruf, right? And it's very finite. It's very limited. It's very defined. How does a person like Yankee want to get to a place where there's all the tzirufim, which means that I can have abilities that are beyond my normal capacity? So I have to go and I have to mitzaref all the different tzirufim. These tzirufim is going to break me out of my normal tziruf, which is my particular form that I have now, is going to allow me to enter the Seichel HaPoel. I'm going to hook into the Seichel HaPoel. Then, when I'm going to become conscious, which I'm going to become back Yankee, but I'm still hooked into the Seichel HaPoel, there's going to be a download from the Seichel HaPoel into new Chochmah that's going to be revealed into this world.
New Chochmah meaning beyond my normal.
Yeah, beyond my normal experience. It's going to be the Nevuah. It's going to be revealed. Derech Hagav, I want to tell you this when I spoke to a big Yid once about this, and when I spoke to this person about Abulafia, he says, it's not negaya, it's not so relevant, you should do this practice because we don't see, I don't want to say this because it's Chadman Rishonim, so it's not, I'll just chazer what he said, we don't see, Avraham Abulafia wrote many different svarim how to reach this level, like practices, and then he also wrote Sifrei Nevuah. There's no other way to translate it. He wrote things that when he was in this state of consciousness, he just was Nevea Seichel, or Ruach HaNevuah that he said, and he wrote Svarim. These are Svarim, they're printed, you can find them. Sefer Ois, there's other many Svarim that he wrote in transmission.
It makes sense?
No, that's the word. So the guy said, Lefi Datenu, according to the way we understand, it's not that this, we don't really understand the godless of what he's saying.
How far did he say Nevuah?
He said for many years, for those 5, 6 years. That's the main ikr. He said he started when he was 31. We learned 31, but the 31 to 46, it says that he was still struggling with tuma, with other things, which seems to be that he was saying zera l'vatala. And then finally, when he got rid of the sultan, he was there for another 6 years, till 52. That's the last time we know about him. That's when he was coming to this transition. And the Rashba, that's the Rashba had an issue with him and everyone. Okay, but so we don't see any godless. So I don't want to. Listen, Mechilas Kvoide, I'm not coming to say yes or not. We probably don't understand what these svarim mean, or we do and we don't. It's not negaya. I'll explain.
That didn't manifest?
No, not so much. No, it's not so much of things. No, God, his nevuos were God pretty interesting. He got his nevuos that he said clearly. He's pretty accurate. He said many things that actually did come to be. I don't want to talk about it because it's another whole thing. It's mamish a whole thing. He predicted that the certain pope is gonna die if he bothers him, and he died. So there were certain things that he had obviously koyach. The only thing that I would say is it's not negaya. It's not negaya because what it meant or what doesn't mean it's not negaya. It's negaya to who you are. In other words, if you're a prostitute and you're nothing, you have no Torah, no Yiras Shamayim, you have no Seichel, and you're going to practice Abulafia, you're going to get to the Seichel HaPoel, but when it's going to be a download, it's going to be shtusim. Why? Because it's going to come through your own. It's your filter. It's your Seichel Anikna that's entering into the place. So you're shortcutting the system to get into the Seichel HaPoel. This is what his path is. But LaPoel, when there's going to be a shtickle nevuah or some type of ruach, a shefa, which he calls it's like a meshuach, mishcha. Yeah, but it depends who you are. If your seichel is nourished, then you're going to say nourishkeit. But if you're going to do the same practice, and you're going to get into the Seichel HaPoel, you're a person that's more in Torah of Yerushalayim, and you can actually have a real experience, then Taka you can have. So it's not negaya what he wrote or you wrote. It's negaya what the system is. The system gets you to that place, and then you'll find out for yourself what kind of madrega you are in the svarim that you can write when you're in the Karach Navua.
What's the Vendor times of Simcha?
Huh?
What's the times of
Seichel Teva Nefesh. Okay. So this is Bechlal this idea. So we have like this that he's saying from here where we have this idea the Chosh V'Yatzir or V'Yisoyer Liboy, that we see that there's Ksiva is one thing to write, to empty out to write, but when you're in a state of tziruf, there's also to do dibur, which is another practice we have to get into more boimek and more detail, which is using breath and different movements of the sound. And then you're going to go to a quieter place where you can do the tzirufim b'machshava in your thought, just in a state, and then you receive it. Now it's interesting also that there's a similar Torah taka from the Torah of Baal Shem, because we know the Baal Shem was also Oisik in Oisius. This is a Iker Terasa was in Oisius, and the Baal Shem writes. I forgot where the marker is, but it's you can find the Baal Shem al Torah. That one of the shtiklach over there he writes. He gives over a Torah like this: that when a person davens, they're mitzvah of Oisius, and you go from Olam Asiya to Olam Hayitzira, where the words that are connected to each other, Aleph, Beis, alone. Doesn't say anything, but then you're mitzvah again, so it creates a certain hisoyrus, a certain awakening, because it now makes sense. Now let's say you say, so you're saying the whole thing, but pei on its own doesn't mean anything, vav on its own doesn't mean, and saf and chav ches doesn't mean. But when you're saying it together, you're moving the letters, you're mitzvah the letters to become not this oisius but tevis, and then it moves along. You're saying with nigunim. So then you're going into the Olam HaYitzir. This is Baal Shem right. So you're going from Olam HaSiyah, which is Oisius, to Olam HaYitzir, which is Tevis. The Tevis have song. When you go to the song, it becomes more Geshmak, and then you have a Seichel Dika understanding of what these words mean, which is Olam HaYibriya, and then you end up in Olam HaTzilis. And then it becomes silent, and you end up in Olam HaTzilis, which means that you're writing the movement of the sound of the words. First letters, words, sounds, music, slower, ayin. So this seems to be a very similar thing. Maybe the Baal Shem was yonik from this idea, where you see that the practice of dibur, of doing tzirufim in dibur, is to get to do tzirufim in machshava. Now, like I said, we're not going to go mamish into this idea of now from Rav Abulafia, but let's look at another sefer, which is in Ksavim Chadashim and in Shari Kedusha from Chaim Vital, and Chelik Dar Shar Beis Gimel. He doesn't talk about Rabbi Avraham Abulafia's tzirufim with the whole thing, which we said is the middle madrega, which is dibur. Last week we did ksiva, which didn't fully do everything. We did one nikud of ksiva, and then there's also the machshava part. So it seems that the Chaim Vital was only talking about the machshava part, not about the dibur part. And this is what he writes: his boide the bayis yechidi, person should be alone in his house, and he should close his eyes very tightly. And you should put on talis and tefillin. If you're putting on talis and tefillin, it's going to be better. After you completely divest your machshav from all other thoughts, take any word you want, any word. He's going to give a mashal of a word. It's not again what you're taking. Again, in Rav Abulafia, in the second madrega, you're using shemus. Using shemus. Over here, he's saying it's not about shemus, because what we're saying is that there's no inherent intention in the actual tzirufim. The tzirufim is to get you out of your seichel anikla into the seichel apah. So what do? He says l'mashal, derech mashal. You take the word eretz, aleph, reish, tzadik, and every ois, every word teva that has 3 letters, you can start from 6 ways. So aleph, reish, tzadik, reish, reish, tzadik, aleph, reish, aleph, tzadik, tzadik, aleph, reish, tzadik, reish, aleph. So you're doing the tzurufim 6 possible ways. So you'll write it down soon. You'll see. You just go the tzurufim back and forth. But you're doing this b'machshava. Then you're just circling the letters. You're doing this one next, the same order. Aleph reish tzadik, aleph tzadik reish, reish tzadik aleph, reish aleph tzadik. The same thing, back and forth, back and forth.
3 letters together?
No, just you're going. Yeah, you're making a tziruf. You're writing in your mind. You see these 3 letters, then it's changed to these 3 letters, and changed to these 3 letters, changed to these, and these. Okay, so you're doing this back, again, and again.
So
Okay.
system of a
So this is very simple. With 3, it's very simple. Very simple. If it's Aleph, Reish, Tzadik, so you start with the Aleph, and then Reish, Tzadik, and then Tzadik, Reish. Then you start with the Reish, then the Reish, Aleph, and Reish, Tzadik. Understand? You just go back, you're doing the same system. You're doing whatever first, second, third letter, then first, third, second. Exactly. You're
You have to
switching
think
it.
it until you manage to see it, or it's enough to think it.
We'll talk about it. Let's just get to this. It's not negate which word you take. Any word you take, you mitzvah the back and forth. That's something else. That's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. Okay. The Oz, after you do this, so you have this machshava, you have this thought, this sirufim in your mindset, in your mind. You're not doing it b'dibur, you're not doing the ma'aseh, you're just doing it in your mind. Aleph reish tzadik, aleph tzadik reish in the machshava. The Oz tispashet min ha'chayim ve'ilum hazeh, kilu nafshecha yotzim teich gufach, which we said. Then you do ispashas haguf after you do it. So already you have this vision, this image that you're connected to. Then you're going to be mispashet out of your guf, which we said we'll try to do. You mispashet out of your guf. And you're actually entering into those sirufim. You're sensing yourself as if you're entering into that type of space, or you're moving with that space. I think maybe what he's trying to say is like you're moving with those sounds, with those letters. It's transporting you. That's like the vehicle that's transporting you. Vitala min arakia shvia nikaravas. You're going from one rakia to another rakia at kiaravas. Vititzar kilaban rakia aravas yashiria levana kesheleg prusa gab rakia aravas. Then you see rakia. You're in empty space and there's huge white backdrop. A urea, a backdrop, a parchment, big white parchment. Uboy mitzuyarim elo oises shal tzerufim haniskorim, and on that huge part, you can see Aleph Reish Tzadik, Aleph Reish, Aleph Tzadik Reish, etc. You see all the letters set up one after the next in these huge things. Huge. They're written. The parchment is not mamish lavan. It's like an off-white. It's a darker color. So on top of that, superimposed on top of that, you have these letters, these huge, big letters, and oisis go is kamo har a giva. You're seeing these letters, not just little letters. They're taking up the expanse of your entire vision. It's like big mountains. You see an Aleph, the entire mountain you're looking at. Then you look next to the Reish, the entire mountain. Yeah, a little similar. After you're taking the tzirufim, you're doing the tzirufim, you're doing the ispashas through the tzirufim, your machshava in the tzirufim, and you're seeing these letters. Do this in your mind, in your mind's eye. Think about this, think about this machshava. Imagine yourself asking a question from these tzirufim. You have a question. Should I do this? I not should do this. It could be avoid. It could be spiritual. It could be druchnis, kashmis. Something you need to know. Ask if you're asking a shayla. And they're going to answer you. Somehow these tzirufim are going to come together to give you an answer to your question. Or you're just going to become very tired, or you're going to speak in your mouth, or it's going to answer in a dream. But in some state, you're going to be induced into a more meditative state. Somehow your seichel nikna is going to tap into the seichel apoil through the tzirufei oisius, and some type of answer is going to come to you. So we're going to try to do this as actually what we should try to do.
Myself, it makes it easier if I write it down to visualize it.
So write it down. It doesn't say there's no halachas over here what you have to do. This is basically.
This has nothing to do with the halachas.
No, it does.
Why?
Why? Okay.